I wanted to just, this video is the introductory video to the class and also to the first epic. It basically replaces Syllabus Monday, which we're all used to, but being online, I'm not going to see you guys, so it's not going to be Syllabus Monday. Okay, here's how we do things. We organize our class into 3 epics. Epic 1 is generally the rise of the corporation in the latter 19th century. It basically covers from 1877 from Reconstruction through just before Teddy Roosevelt, just at 1900. Now, the second epic will lead us from Teddy Roosevelt and the progressives that kind of take over politically in the White House through the Second World War, and then the third epic will lead us from World War II to date. We'll finish up with some current history, the war with Al-Qaeda, policies in the Middle East, the banking crisis of 2008, etc., a few other things. Okay, now, our mainstay in the course, and you'll see this in the syllabus, the mainstay in the course, we don't have a textbook. Our mainstay is ushistory.org, www.ushistory.org. And if you go in there, over on the left-hand side, if you click on U.S. History, and it will show you a list of all the various subjects that we're going to be using. We start with Reconstruction. It would actually cover U.S. History 1 as well, because it starts from the founding. But I think our first one is number 35, Reconstruction. That's on Blackboard. It's if you go into week 1. We'll deal with that in a second. We'll talk about the Blackboard interface and how we want to use the Blackboard interface. And so all of our sources are online. And that's going to be one of the mainstays. The other mainstay, the main thrust of the course, is going to be those web links from ushistory.org and PowerPoints that I put up there. And the PowerPoints are going to be narrated PowerPoints. So what you're going to have is you're going to have a PowerPoint presentation with me lecturing in the background over top of it. Okay, starting with Reconstruction in Epic 1. And they'll be designated by epic number and PowerPoint number. So the first one will be 1.1, the second 1.2, the third 1.3, etc., etc., etc. And then we're in the second epic, it'll be 2.1, etc. I think the first one, I'm trying. I got it right now. This is funny. I got it right now. I got 7 lectures in the first epic, 6 in the second, 6 in the third. What I'm trying to do is combine 2 of those into the first so that I can have 6, 6, and 6, which will be 18, which is 2 times 9, which represents yin energy and yang energy, plus the 8 trigrams in the hollow center. So you got some Tao working in there, and I want to try to do that. But I got the night to do that. I think I can organize it together. I'm going to organize that last bit on monetary and politics together. But in any rate, I digress. Okay, so that's how the epics are going to be organized. And you'll see, it's all very clear in Blackboard. And let's go over the Blackboard interface a little bit. When you go into the Blackboard, okay, you go onto your Blackboard. I don't know how familiar you are with Blackboard, probably at least as much as I am. This is only the 3rd online course I've done. Okay, so you go onto Blackboard. Over on the left-hand side, what you're going to see, the main operative part that you're going to look at, is you're going to see weekly breakdown. In the content collection over on the left-hand side, you're going to see week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. Right now, what's going to be visible to you is up to week 8, because that's all I've loaded on there right now. We'll load the rest on in the next couple of weeks. So you click on week 1, and what you're going to see is you're going to see the web link or links for that week. This week we have 2 web links, one on Reconstruction, one on the Gilded Age. The next week I think we have 2, etc. You'll see. You just click on there and you'll see. And now the nice thing about this ushistory.org, when you go to it, this saves us all kinds of things. First of all, it saves you guys a bunch of money buying a textbook, which honestly is not a very good textbook. Okay, so it's all free of charge. You don't have to pay a thing. You just go ushistory.org, boom, it's all free as can be. So that's a nice benefit. Secondly, they are a nice synopsis of the critical things that take place during that period. And so what you'll see is when you go onto that web link, it'll take you to the introductory page of whatever subject we're on. We're starting with Reconstruction. And then each of them is 1 page and only 1 page. So you read that page, you click next, and then it'll say like 35A, 35B, 35-6. And you just read the page, click next, read the page, click next, read the page. You can take notes if you want to. You can outline it if you want to. You have access to it anytime you like. Okay? And the most there are, I think with one of them, I think there's 8 pages or 7 pages instead of a 40-page history chapter in a textbook, which I don't know about you, but the way I am, I look at a 40-page chapter and I just give up right there. I'm like, 40 pages? I can't read it. My time is valuable. I can't be reading 40 pages. I got many other things to do other than read 40 pages. Don't have to read 40, right? These are like 5. You can zip through them, okay? And you pay attention to them. Now, the PowerPoint lecture, I really, as best I can, attempt to not put my PowerPoints as a simple reiteration of what you're reading. You're adults, you're intelligent, you can read. What the PowerPoint lectures do is they are in support of the lecture, and the lecture or of the web link, and the web link is in support of the PowerPoint lecture. Okay? So they work together. They don't necessarily go over all of the same things. A lot of them, there's a lot of overlap. Stuff they talk about on the web link, I'll talk about in the PowerPoints. Stuff I talk about in the PowerPoints, they'll talk about in the web links. But a lot of the stuff I talk about on the PowerPoints, it's not on the web links. A lot of the stuff that they deal with in the web links, I don't put in my PowerPoints because I don't think they're all that relevant. Okay? Like among other things, one of the things that's going to be in the PowerPoints, and I'm going to warn you about this right away, and we'll deal with it as we go. I don't expect, this is a U.S. history course. I do not anticipate you being economists, okay? But just a little history of myself. This is my 15th year at Robert Morris. The first 7 of those years, I was in the School of Business teaching economics, and I mean teaching economics. I taught micro, macro, survey, international trade theory. I taught all of it, okay? And so in all of my classes, there is a significant element of economics, but it's not an economics class, so we don't go through the technical economics. I avoid the technical discussion of economics to the best of my ability, knowing that we're all basically history students and social scientists, so we don't really like that stuff. Although I really like that stuff. I'm a political economist by trade. That's what I do, is economics and politics. Okay? And so there was going to be, one of the things that I've always found with history textbooks is that they utterly ignore economics. In fact, I remember this from the old U.S. history textbook that we had. It was pathetic. The guys that wrote it, they tried so much. After the American Revolution, they did their best over about a 3-page period to try to explain the economic crisis that hit the United States at its outset, and they never were able to do it. Whereas I can do it in about 2 minutes, okay? Because it's actually very simple to understand, but you have to have a basis in economics, okay? Now, one of the things I kind of forgot at the very beginning of this to tell you is how these epics are organized, how the class is basically organized, what our focus is in each of them are the political and economic trends that take place. So the first thing we're going to be looking at are the political and economic trends of the latter part of the 19th century. Now, what do we mean by trend? Okay, a trend is a very simple thing to understand. If you take an individual event, okay, let's say, for example, the passage of the 13th Amendment, or let's take, for example, the passage of the Tenure of Office Act in 1867, an individual event. Then you couple those, you join all of the various individual events that take place during a period of time, and you look for a common denominator among them. That common denominator is a trend. Okay, so like what we deal with largely in U.S. History 1, which covers from the founding till 1877, is an inherent conflict in the U.S. Constitution. They are not clear. Madison was not clear when he wrote the Constitution in differentiating between drawing the border between national sovereignty and state sovereignty. And so what you have is a conflict that takes place that is ultimately settled by force of arms in the Civil War. Okay? And all of the events that take place during that period, or at least the vast majority of them, participate in that trend. If you add all the events together and look for their common denominator, they all have something to do with the tension between national and state sovereignty. We have the nullification crisis, the tariff of abominations. We have secessionist movements early on, et cetera, et cetera. That's all U.S. History 1. We do the same thing here in U.S. History 2. And so what we're going to look for, and what we want to identify, and what we're going to go over, and we're going to go over and over and over and over and over, until we've beaten them through our brains, are the individual trends. Like, for example, in Epoch 1 in U.S. History 2, the main trend of the 19th century, okay, is twofold. Politically, the trend is the domination of Congress over the executive. That will end with Theodore Roosevelt. That's why the epoch ends when it does. It ends with the election of Theodore Roosevelt. Okay? Because Theodore Roosevelt, people always ask me this. They know I teach U.S. history, so they're always asking me, Master Holt, who's your favorite president? You know, I got two favorite presidents. I got Andrew Jackson because he's a colorful character and he's the only common man ever elected president. But my favorite is Theodore Roosevelt. And just this morning, my wife was asking me, she was saying, why is Theodore Roosevelt your favorite president? I said, he's my favorite president because in the latter part of the 19th century, Congress dominated the presidency. This is why very few people can remember the presidents of the latter 19th century. These are the Grover Clevelands and Rutherford B. Hayeses and Benjamin Harrisons that nobody's ever heard of, that really weren't even splashed in the puddle of history, that did nothing. Okay, well, the reason for that is because they were effectively puppets. They were puppets of the U.S. Congress. The U.S. Congress dominated. That comes to a crashing halt with Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt will reinvigorate the executive branch and the presidency. And from that point forward, there will be to current times, there will be a contest for authority between the executive and legislative branches. Okay? And when we deal with current history, we'll go over some of those things on a more current basis that are happening right now. Okay, so let's see, where was I? All right, so that's the relationship of the web links that you're going to see each week, okay, and the PowerPoint presentations. And what you'll see is the web links. You go through those and you read those. Then you go through the PowerPoints, okay. Generally, each week, I have, if I'm gonna be able to do this successfully, I think I will. In the first epoch, we'll have 6 PowerPoint lectures. In the second epoch, 6 PowerPoint lectures. In the third, 6 PowerPoint lectures, which means the first and second epochs are 4 weeks in length, which means that you're going to have 2 lectures in 2 of the weeks. Okay, like for example, this week we're going to have 2 PowerPoints. We're going to have the Reconstruction and the Gilded Age. Okay. And then next week, I think I do organized labor and westward migration, and then the next week, and you'll see when you get into the weeks, you'll see how it's organized up. Okay, but basically, because we have 6 PowerPoints and 4 weeks to get them in, 2 of the weeks have to have 2 PowerPoints. Okay, the second epoch's the same way. Okay, so you'll see the web links. Go through and read those. You'll see the PowerPoints. Follow along with those. Listen to them. Take notes on them if you need to. You can print them all out, of course, and go along with them if you want to. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to do to help you study for the quizzes. Okay, and that's the exams. Okay, and that brings me to kind of the third thing that I really wanted to go over here in this video. 2 things. First, I've never in my life, and I wrestled with this. I mean, I really wrestled with this. The easiest thing to do would be for me to go to a test bank somewhere, okay, for the book or for whatever, and just download a whole bunch of multiple choice questions and then feed them through Blackboard and have you do those every 4 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever. Okay, but the fact of the matter is I've never given a multiple choice exam in my life. It would be a lot easier on me if I did. Okay, because Blackboard can grade them automatically. I put the rubric in there. They just spit out grades and scores, and everything's nice and easy, and I got a lot more free time on my hands. But the fact is I don't do that. I don't do that because I don't do the multiple choice thing because, you see, it occurred to me some time ago that if I were to be able to train a chimpanzee to use a number 2 pencil and to fill in the little circles, it would be possible for that chimpanzee to actually pass an exam. And not just to pass an exam, but if they did it enough, random probability, if they did it enough, they would actually be able to graduate from Robert Morris with a degree in something, which I suppose is kind of a frightening prospect altogether. But so we don't do multiple choice. What we do is we do short answers. Okay? Now, there's a couple, and I wrestled with this. I only decided this like yesterday, okay, how I was going to do this. I wrestled with it for the last few weeks. One, at the end of each epic, I could give you an exam. It would be maybe 100 points. It would be probably 40 questions or so. It would take you, I don't know, a couple of 3 or 4 years probably. No, it would take you hours, okay? And the problem with doing it, I don't know about you, but I know myself, all right? If you tell me that I got 4 weeks, 5 weeks until an exam, I know what I'm going to do, okay? If it's an online course. Now, on ground courses, they're a little bit easier to keep students on point, okay? They come to class every day. You can keep an eye on them. You know, there's more of a, it's easier to maintain the discipline of continuing the studies and stuff. But online, that's not the case. Students are kind of on their own. And if you told me, if I'm online and you tell me you ain't got a test till week 5, I know what I'm going to do. Okay? If you say the first test is 35 days from now, okay, on day 34, I'll look the stuff over. You know, I'll look it over, I'll take a look out, cram it all in a day, whatever. And then I'll take the test on day 35. And on the first 34 days, I don't know, I'll sit on my couch, watch The Simpsons, eat cheesy poops, have fun, go away, go on holiday, whatever. Okay? That can't do it. Because I will grant you this. There is in this class a compendious amount of information. There's no question about it. We're covering U.S. history from 1877 until, really from 1865, until the modern day. A lot happened during that period. Hold on, I have to take a break. One of the nice things I thought about teaching an online course, you see, is that I can smoke while I lecture. Those of you who know me by reputation know I have a reputation for smoking a lot at Robert Moore, and that's true. Every time I'm not in the classroom, I'm out smoking. And so, since I can, I may as well do it, right? It's my house. I can smoke. Yeah, good. Okay. But at any rate, all right. So the way we're going to do the exams, think of it this way. Instead of having a 100-point exam every 4 weeks, we're going to divide that exam among the weeks. Okay? So let's just take a look at Epic 1. Epic 1 is going to go on for the first 4 weeks. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Each week, and this is in the syllabus. Read the syllabus. I've posted the syllabus online. Everything in this class came up and running at 0800 on Monday morning. Monday the 12th. Okay? If you read through the syllabus, it explains exams, how we do them. What we really have is a large series of 25-point quizzes. Okay? The quizzes will be anywhere from 5 to 10 questions. They're short answer questions. I'll give you an example of one. Let me just give you I'll think of an example of one. Suppose I asked you the question, why did the United States enter the First World War? Right? Or why did the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor? Or what were the ramifications, of being on the gold standard when the Great Depression hit? Anything like that would be fair game. Okay, short answers, a couple of sentences, couple of 3 sentences tops. Okay, you'll have 5 to 10 of these every week. Okay, now let's go over the points in the class. I do grading a little bit different than other people. You won't get back on any submission that you turn in. Anything you turn in, you're not going to get a grade back. The only grades you get a grade at the midterm, and you get a grade at the end of the semester. Those are your grades. In terms of a letter grade, what you get is points. This class is about earning points. There are a grand total of 500 points in the class. Okay? 50 of those points are participation, which I'll get to in just a minute. 100 points are an essay, and it's in the syllabus what you're going to write the essay on. The class will be divided in half. There are 18 of you. The class will be divided in half. 9 students will write essay 1, and the other 9 students will write essay 2. So if you're assigned essay 1, you don't have to write essay 2, and if you're not assigned essay 1, you know you're going to have to write essay 2. Okay, that's worth 100 points. Now, in addition, since I'm on the essays here, in addition, you'll have extra credit. I'm a big fan of extra credit. A grand total of 10% possible. That's 50 points possible. That's not guaranteed 50 points. You could get a 0 on it. Okay, guaranteed or maximum of 50 points. The extra credit is to write the alternate essay. Okay, so you understand what I mean by that? It means that if you're assigned essay 1, that's a 100-point essay that you have to write. Okay? Or face a 0 out of 100 penalty. But you can optionally also write essay number 2. If you don't write it, if you're assigned essay 1 and you don't write the alternate essay, you lose nothing. You get 0 points. But you don't lose anything. Okay? But you can gain, it's gravy. You can add extra points, and those extra points are added at the very end of the semester to the overall grade. Okay? And so you can write the alternate essay for extra credit. Okay? So that's 150 points. Now that leaves us 350 points shy of the 500 total. Those 350 points come from the quizzes. Now ordinarily when I do history, when I do an on-ground history class, we have 3 100-point exams at the end of each epoch. Okay? That's 300 points. I had 50 points more for participation, and again, I'll get to that in just a second. Okay, here we're not going to do that. Here what we're going to do is 25-point quizzes every week on the material from that week. So the first quiz, which has already been written, is going to be on Reconstruction, okay, and the Gilded Age. PowerPoint lectures 1 and 2, 1.1 and 1.2, okay, and the web links that are associated with them. We've got 2 web links this week, okay, and 2 lectures, right? That's where the material comes from. It doesn't come from a textbook. It doesn't come from the Archangel Gabriel doesn't come down and tell me what the questions are, okay? They come from there. Now, here's the thing, and I don't know if you're familiar with how tests are done on Blackboard. There's a lot of options available. Here's how they're done. I am going to post the test, hopefully, as early as possible in the week. This one will be posted. It'll come up Monday at 8 a.m. And that's going to be the typical thing. Monday at 8 a.m., you will have access to the quiz, or the exam, whatever you want to call it, the 25-point weekly thing. You will have from then, Monday at 8, until the following Sunday at midnight, okay, to take it. Now, once you go in to take it, you will not be allowed to go back again. Okay, it's what we call forced completion. In other words, you go in there once, when you exit that test, it comes to me. All right? You will have 30 minutes, and only 30 minutes, to take the thing. It's 5 to 10 questions. Okay? The first one is, I'll tell you this, the first one is 6 questions. That's 5 minutes per question. Okay? That's more than enough time. See, this is the thing. Okay? Now, well, all right? So what you have to do is between Monday morning at 8 a.m. and the following Sunday at midnight, you have to carve yourself out 30 minutes to take the quiz. Because at the end of 30 minutes, it's going to auto-submit. In other words, at 30 minutes, it's done. It comes into me automatically. Okay, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. No extra time, none of this nonsense. Okay, so you got 30 minutes to do it. Now, that means that if we do it every week for 15 weeks, okay, 14 weeks. Oh yeah, we do it every week for 15 weeks, including finals. Okay, the lowest test score will drop out. What you'll end up with is 14 weeks worth of quizzes. 14 times 25 is 350. There's your 350 points. Okay? The nice thing, I've done this is the way I do my world geography. My world geography, and the geographers will tell you this, world geography is all about map quizzes. Okay, we do map quizzes worth 30 points, and we do conceptual questions, short answer questions, that are worth 40 points. Okay? If you blow one of them, if you just blow it, if you get 10 out of 25 on one of these quizzes, you can recover from it pretty easily. It's not that bad. All right? Whereas on an exam, if you blow an exam, you're finished. You're dead in the water. Okay? Here, that's not the case. It's a little bit more forgiving to have. It's kind of like death by 1,000 cuts, but it's a little bit more forgiving. And one of the things at least I attempt to do with my students at level 1 is the critical difference. What defines successful student as opposed to unsuccessful student really doesn't have to do with intelligence or any of the material. It has to do with discipline. Okay? That's going to get you further in life than anything you covered here at Robert Morris. Okay? So it's about discipline. And so by doing mathematics does this is how mathematics is taught at college as well. By doing it every week, you will fall very quickly into a kind of routine of doing it. Okay? Monday morning at 8, the quiz comes up. You can't go and take a look at the questions. You don't know what the questions are. It's just there. And so you read the material, you read the PowerPoints, you listen to the lectures, you take notes, you ask any questions you need to, you get me on email, I'll give you my Skype contact stuff. I'll put that in. Actually, I think I'll include that in the email and repost it again, or in the syllabus. Give you my Skype contact so you can Skype me if you want to. We'll deal with that in just a second. And go on from there, ask any questions. And then at some point during the week, most of you it's probably going to be the weekend. It's probably going to be Saturday, Sunday. If you can, you get it early, get it Friday, knock it out of the way, get all that material under your belt. And then, you take the quiz. And this happens every week, and you just get kind of used to it. It's called discipline. I know some of us are unfamiliar with that. I've noticed over the years that some of the Robert Morris students are a little bit unfamiliar with this idea of discipline. But it's discipline, okay? And it's a simple way to do it. It's not a difficult course. The questions are not difficult. The material is not difficult, okay? Now, the other thing that I want you to keep in mind when it comes to these quizzes, when I do an online class, okay, I make no never minds about this. I don't BS around about this, okay? When I do an online class, I do it with the understanding that you have access to every bit of material there is, all of it. So there's no never mind. I understand this is happening. You don't have to try to be sneaky or sly or any of that. When you sit down for that quiz, you will have all information that the human species has collected in its 450,000 year history at your disposal. You want to go on the internet? Go on the internet. You want to look at the PowerPoint? Look at the PowerPoints. That's why it's 30 minutes. If you're going to spend your time, if you're not going to study anything, let's say, screw this, I'll just take the quiz. I'll look it up when I need to. You will never finish. There will not be. In fact, if you were to do that, if you were to say, oh, screw this, I'm not going to read anything, I don't care, I got more important things to do with my time, I'll just take the quiz, it'll knock out a half an hour. You start looking up the answer to those questions, you might get one, maybe two of them done. Okay? Because you're going to spend all your time looking through material. I caution you, as strongly as I possibly can, I caution you against trying to Google something during a quiz. Because what you're going to end up with, one of the problems with the internet, is not the lack of information. It's the overabundance of information. There's just too much out there. If you go and Google something like the Tenure of Office Act, you'll see what it is, you'll see the controversy, you'll have 5 or 6 different hits on it, and by the time you're done reading that and trying to understand it, you're at 20 minutes into the quiz. You've got no time left, and you're going to get 4 or 5 points out of 25. Up to you. You're the student. I'm just the humble instructor here, but I'm cautioning you against that. The way to do it, it's not a lot of material. By not using the textbook, I've saved you guys enormous amounts of time. Read the web pages, the web links. Read and listen to the PowerPoints. To the best of my ability, I try not to just simply sit there and recite a PowerPoint because I find it really boring to just read PowerPoint. What my PowerPoints are, my geographers will tell you this, and my history guys will tell you this as well. What my PowerPoints are is largely talking points. I just put some talking points up there and then, start going. And it kind of goes on tangentially about the different things and support and amplification and all these different things, okay? Sometimes I just read what's up there, but not very often, okay? So read and listen to the PowerPoint. Go through that, okay? Then study up the material. Make sure you know it, okay? Take notes. I would take notes. When you're reading these web links and when you're going through the PowerPoints, I would take notes. What I would do is I would probably print out the PowerPoints, and I would do it so that I've got 3 PowerPoints per page with some lines over here that I can write stuff on, take notes on it as I'm going through it, then study that up. The same way you would a normal class, an on-ground class. Study it up. When I feel I'm comfortable enough that I can go into it, then I'll go ahead and go on to the quiz and knock it out. Okay? I caution you as strongly as I can against attempting to go in with no information and simply Google everything. It's not going to work. You're going to get crushed by the time constraint. That's why the time constraint is so limiting and so significant. All right? But if you do what I'm telling you, and if you just follow along the way I'm explaining it, the way I'm suggesting, you should be smooth sailing. It shouldn't be that difficult. No one week has so much information that you can't master it. Now, remember this too. In a normal class, in a normal on-ground class, you got 2.5 hours, 150 minutes, 3 50-minute classes. That's 150 minutes. That's 2.5 hours. Okay, you got 2.5 hours in class. And generally what we think of is a 1.5 to 2-to-1 ratio of out-of-class work. Okay? Normally at Robert Morris, the way my classes work, it's really closer to 1-to-1. So 2.5 hours a week in class, 2.5 hours a week out of class. Well, this is online, so you don't have in class. The readings, let's say we go into one of these readings that has 5 subsections, so we have a total of 6 pages. We have the introductory page and then 5 subsections, we have 6 pages. They shouldn't take me more than about 5 minutes per page, tops, 4. Okay, so we're looking at 25 minutes. The PowerPoints, I try. Most of how I try, the PowerPoints are really equivalent to my lectures, and so the PowerPoints really, I try to keep them down to 20, 25 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes a little more. And so you're looking at probably about the same devotion of time to this class that you would have an on-ground class, which is perfectly reasonable. Okay? All right, let's see. What else? That's how the class is divided into epics, what the basic subject matter is, the trend analysis, political and economic trends, how the exams work. Oh, participation. That's the one thing. How the exams work, we've got participation, right? 50 points of the class is participation. Now, I understand what you're saying. You're saying, wait a minute, hold on here. One of the reasons I signed up for this online class is because I tend to be an antisocial person. I don't like to talk to people. Okay, participation sounds like talking to people. One of the reasons I took the online class is because I didn't have to sit there in class and perhaps by chance interact with my fellow students on that stuff. Now you're telling me that's not the case. You're telling me that online I can do that. See, the secret to an online class, okay, that I've learned very quickly, is to recreate the interaction that is inherent in an on-ground class. I mean, in an on-ground class, we see each other all the time. We see each other 2-3 times a week. We're always there. In an online class, we may never see each other, okay? We need to try to get as close as possible to interaction as we can online. The degree to which you're able to do that is participation. What I usually tell people, and what is in the syllabus, is participation is active involvement in the learning process of the class. You have at your disposal an awful lot for doing that. Okay? You have my home telephone number, my cell phone number, my Robert Morris email, my Hotmail email, and I'm going to put on Skype contact. Now, my office, my hours, the hours that you can try to contact, okay? I'm also on Facebook. You can add me to Facebook and we can chat on Facebook. We can figure out this chat thing, right, on Gmail as well. So if we're online at the same time, we can chat, we can interact. In point of fact, interaction is limitless online. A lot of you guys know that from your Facebooking. I think, you know what I think? I think our society began its decline when Facebook stopped being a noun and started being a verb, or Facebook. But, okay, so we have the availability of interaction. We can sit there and talk, we can do anything you like. Okay? That's participation. If you sit there like a bump on a log and don't do anything, and do the bare minimum of work, never interact, then your participation grade is going to be very low. Okay? The baseline participation grade is 40. Okay? It can go down from there. It can go up from there to 50. All right? It's not an automatic 50. You don't just get 50 free points. All right? So, the problem with an online class is that it requires from the students to be successful a little bit more aggressive posture. And where faculty drops the ball in online classes is when students do adopt an aggressive posture like that, they don't rise to meet that. Trust me. When I was an undergraduate, when I was a graduate, I ate lightning and cracked thunder. I was constantly in my professor's face, constantly with my other students. I was aggressive. That's a good student. Okay? That's participation, is to be aggressive, to be forceful in the learning process, not to just sit there like a bump on a log and expect things to be handed. And so that's participation. Except for the grade, 50 points. We've gone over the extra credit. We've gone over the quiz exams, right? There's a lot of them. I'll grant you there's a lot of them, but you've got a week to do them. You can certainly find 30 minutes to devote to it. And that's 350, 100, that's 450, 50, that's 500 points, okay? Oh yeah, the essays. The essays worth 100 points. And I think that's all I have, at least for now. I might get back on and do another one of these. What I'm planning on doing is one of these at the beginning of each epic, at the very least. And so kind of just as an introduction to Epic 1 leads us from Reconstruction up to the progressive era of, up to basically 1900. Okay, and what we look at are the political and economic trends. The main political trend I've already identified. The main political trend is the development of progressivism and the domination of Congress. Okay, they go hand in hand. I'll explain that as we go through the lectures, why those two things go hand in hand. Because Congress being in charge, things get progressively corrupt, starting with U.S. Grant and going all the way up through McKinley. Okay, economically, the main trend is the transition in comparative advantage, the transition in the United States from light industry, textiles, that kind of thing, into heavy industry, steel, aviation. At the end of the period, aviation, the automobile. Okay, the automobile was invented in 1895, so it's the very end of the period. Okay, and what that means. And we also look at the other trend economically is conglomeration. Okay, we have the formation, particularly at the end of the period, of a number of the most famous and largest corporate conglomerates in history. Most notably, we have the formation at the very end of this period of the U.S. Steel Corporation. Carnegie and J.P. Morgan get together, and it forms the largest corporation in the world at the time. We also have J. Paul Getty in the formation of Standard Oil. So we have these corporate conglomerates. So corporate expansion, corporate conglomeration. And then what we look at is the other economic trend is kind of the fallout of this, which is the effect this has on the banking sector. How the banking sector, what this is going to do is because they're expanding so much and they're expanding in capital-intensive industries, they're placing an inordinate strain on the liquidity and credit system of American banks. Okay? Such that the agricultural sector, the light industry sector, other sectors of the economy can't borrow any money. They're having great difficulty. They get progressively worse in terms of trade, in terms of borrowing. It places too much of a strain on the banking sector. This ultimately culminates in the Panic of 1892, which leads to a depression. And what we'll see from that point forward in the class is that the United States really never fully recovers. To this day, to modern times, never fully recovers from the Depression of 1892 because there were structural flaws in the system that were never addressed. They attempted in the Great Depression a little bit, but that's for epic number 2 anyways. Or that's at the very end of this epic. That's the very end of this epic. No, that's in epic 2. That's right. Great Depression. Epic 1 to 1900. Epic 2 to World War II. Epic 3 World War II to present day. And so that's just an introduction to the first epic. Get started. If you have any questions, you are encouraged with all of the earnestness at my command to contact me by whatever means you can come up with. And there's lots of them included in the syllabus. There's lots of them. You can look me up just on the Robert Morris website and find me there. Whatever. Okay, so not being able to get in touch with me is not an excuse, and I don't do what a lot of professors do. What I typically do is I refer to it as holding court. I get up very early. I get up 4:30 in the morning most mornings. By 5:30, I'm out of meditation. I get up and I do my qigong and my tai chi, and then about 5:30, I come online. Okay, and that's when I hold court. That's when I address emails. So there's never very much of a time lag at all on it. With a Blackboard course like this, with an online course, I tend to check in a couple of times a day anyways, to see if anybody's got anything. And also what I'm doing and what I'm going to try to do with the Gmail thing is try to work through this chat thing so that I can know who is online at what time and where you guys are, so that I can launch. And people don't know that. If you're online. Oh, the hours of operation. Last thing I'm going to talk about. This is getting too long, right? Hours of operation. I'm in bed, out, at 2200 hours. That's 10 o'clock. Okay, and I just told you, I'm active. I'm up and out of meditation and ready to roll by 6 a.m. So that 8-hour period from 10 to 6, you ain't going to find me. From 6 a.m. till 10 p.m., you got every possibility. Now, I teach on ground here at Robert Morris as well on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons. And you can certainly seek me out then, too. I teach from 1:45 to 2:35. I've only got the one on ground class, the one geography. It's in the Nicholson Center. It's one of these rooms I've never used before, way up top in the Nicholson Center. And then, so you can bump into me Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to have I have very truncated office hours on ground in the wintertime because I just like I don't like going out in the wintertime. I like staying here. When I go out to Robert Morris in the wintertime, see, I know you think it's right. When I go out to Robert Morris in the wintertime, you see, when I go out to have a smoke break, I got to do it in 2-degree weather. I don't like that. Here, it's nice and warm in here. Okay? But at any rate, all right, that's enough for now. I'll talk to you all later. I look forward to hearing from you. I think this is going to be an absolutely exciting U.S. History 2 class, really the last panel. This first panel is a really good one. The development. A lot of people don't know about the late 19th century, so it's going to be really good. Be as aggressive as you possibly can with the class. If there's any problems, let me know as soon as possible. And other than that, we're done. And enjoy.